Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bizarchik, I'd like to turn to the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA. The NEPA requires every federal agency to assess the environmental impacts that would result from the agency's actions. Actions like approving a permit, issuing a new regulation. Now, a federal agency assesses environmental impacts in what is known as the Environmental Impact Statement, the EIS. Prior to issuing an EIS, a federal agency is required to consult with other agencies, including state agencies. State agencies which have special expertise with respect to the action under consideration. The federal agency preparing the EIS is called the lead agency, and then the other agencies are called the cooperating agencies. Under NEPA, the lead agency is not only required to consult with cooperating agencies, it must ensure that the participation of the cooperating agencies is, in quote, meaningful. So when your office began developing the so-called stream protection rule, it identified 10 state agencies as cooperating agencies. Your office signed agreements with these agencies, these 10 state agencies, in which your office pledged to provide them with, number one, copies of key or relevant documents underlying the EIS. You signed a document pledging to provide them with administrative drafts of the EIS, and signed a document pledging to provide a reasonable time for review and comments. It's your agency, your office. Between then, January of 2011, and the issuance of the proposed rule in July of 2015, your office did none of this. For 4.5 years, your office shared neither the drafts of the EIS nor the documents related to the EIS. During this time, your office engaged in no meaningful consultation whatsoever with the state agencies. It even ignored the state's repeated requests for consultation. In 2015, 8 states felt they had no other choice but to withdraw as cooperating agencies. Now, Mr. Bizarchik, you've been director of the Office of Surface Mining since November of 2009, before all this started. So why have you allowed your staff to make a mockery of its obligation under the National Environmental Policy Act, and where does the law allow your agency to go dark for 4.5 years?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. The states have had a lot of input into this process, and we have requested those states who had provided notice that they were not going to continue to participate to re-engage. He sent that out in October of that year. I'd also sent out a request to the Interstate Mining Compact Commission for them to re-engage. They declined. I have not heard back from the states. Notwithstanding that, we have continued to reach out. We're continuing to work with the states. Of the state regulatory authorities that submitted comments, we have been meeting with them. We've had, I believe, about 18 meetings with them over the past several weeks, getting input from them on the proposed rule and the comments that they provided. We stand ready to meet with those. The Assistant Secretary has met with state folks as well. She's been to Alaska. She's got a trip planned for North Dakota stuff. We're continuing to provide outreach to the states, and we have...
Let me be clear. Your agency did not consult with the states for 4.5 years, from January of 2011 until the issuance of the rule of July of 2015. You, sir, have made a mockery of this process. When in February of 2011, Governor Butch Otter of Idaho, a Republican, chairman of the Western Governors Association, as well as a Democrat, the governor of Washington, wrote to the Secretary of the Interior about the rulemaking, they asked the Secretary to ensure that your agency engage states in a meaningful and substantial way. The Secretary of the Interior, Secretary Salazar, wrote back and said, all cooperating agencies will have an additional opportunity to review and comment on a preliminary draft EIS statement before it is published for public review and comment. Never happened. Never happened in 4.5 years. Why did your agency fail to honor Secretary Salazar's specific commitment to cooperating state agencies?
Senator, the states have had meaningful input. We have received a lot of valuable comments from the state regulatory authorities that has been helped us craft this proposed rule and informed the process on that. And we have made a number of changes. We've continued to reach out to them to meet and re-engage on that. And that offer continues to be open with them, and we continue to reach out to the states to obtain state input on this rule as we go forward.
Well, with all due respect, your answer just doesn't pass the smell test. Your agency did not consult with the states between January of 2011 and the issuance of the rule 4.5 years later. Secretary Salazar understood your agency's obligations under NEPA. You continue to give excuses, play this tired game of cat and mouse. It's high time for your agency to at least own up to its failure to follow the National Environmental Protection Act and withdraw the rule immediately. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.